better ado, I'll hand over to Anna.
Yes, it's not only my wedding anniversary, 24 years, I made it, but it's also my anniversary at Forest Research, 6 years today. Then it's a double anniversary. Yes, then what I have prepared here, I think in the title I did say 5 years, but obviously I don't know even how to count because it's 6. Never mind. I came 6 years ago. I joined Forest Research. And what I wanted to show you is the work that we do at the Health Diagnostic and Advisory Service. Then, what is the Health Diagnostic and Advisory Service? Actually, it's not a new service. This service has been running since the 1960s, and I was lucky enough to be working with some of the previous pathologists at Forest Research. But I did join, as I said, 6 years ago. And what is our job there? We are trying to provide impartial advice, or we try to identify pests and pathogens on trees in Britain. We work for the 3 countries. We work for England, Scotland, and Wales. And we deal with public and private sector forestry, local authorities, arboricultural consultants, and tree surgeons, and general public. We have 2 different stations in the UK. One is in the north, NRS, just outside Edinburgh, and I am based at Alice Hall, just in Farnham, just in the border between Surrey and Hampshire. As I said, we work for the 3 countries, and we work very close together with our colleagues from Forestry Commission England, now Scottish Forestry, and in Wales with Natural Resources Wales. Then how do we fit in the bigger picture of tree health? I think this probably speaks on its own. In the last few years, we have new threats to plant health. They keep emerging every single year. And in this graph, what we have is in the circles, you have the 3 pathogens, new 3 pathogens detected. In the squares, you have the pests, and the triangles are the cumulative of pests and diseases. This is since the 1900s. And this stops here, and hopefully I'm going to give you what happened after there, at least through the advisory service. This is another way to show some of the latest arrivals in the country, and we have from Phytophthora ostrothedri affecting junipers. We have acute oak decline, obviously Callara. We have oak processionary moth, oriental chestnut gold wasp, chestnut blight, Phytophthora ramorum on large, Phytophthora lateralis on Lawson cypress, and pine tree lappet moth. As I said, these are just a few of them. This is not updated. I'm going to give you an update of what it has been going on. Then this is how we fit in this bigger picture. What we are trying to do through the advisory service at Forest Research is to gather information about the health of trees in Britain. We are trying to identify trends of pests and pathogens, where they occur, and how are they spreading. We want to have also an indication of the common, or most common pests and diseases. Sometimes they may be common, but it may be interesting because they are spreading north, or they are colonizing new areas. We contribute to the management of pests and diseases in Britain, and I will show you later some photographs. We work very closely with other agencies. For example, I mentioned Forestry Commission, Natural Resources Wales, Scottish Forestry, but also we work close with APHA, the Animal and Plant Health. Also with different laboratories in the country. Then, although we have our labs at NRS near Edinburgh or at Alice Hall, we work close together with FERA in York or with SASA in Scotland, just outside Edinburgh. We do provide advice to owners, managers, and relevant authorities, and we act as an early warning system for tree health. And I don't know where Paul is. He was talking this morning. You know, your early warning system probably is more sophisticated. Obviously, with remote sensing, we do it in a different way, but I think it's something like remote sensing, it will be very, very useful as well. Then, what do we work on? Some people think, oh, you only work on new and emergent pests and diseases. And we do work on those. And when we find something new, it's not as easy as we find something new and that's it. We need to prove that what we found is actually a pathogen or a pest. And this takes time. And sometimes when we have a finding, it's not straightforward that we can talk about it because we need to prove it. And something that for you seems very easy, you see this tree, this symptom, and I tell you I have this fungus. If it's never been found before, I need to demonstrate that this fungus is causing these symptoms. Then sometimes this takes time, it's a long process. But we are also interested in common pests and diseases because we need to know where they are, the trends, are there any changes? And the most important ones, the unknowns. This is probably the ones that may be a problem for tomorrow, the ones we don't know. That's why when I talk to people, I always say, you know the trees, you work with them every day. Then if you see something that is not normal, just tell us. Because we'd rather tell you, oh, it's nothing, than miss something that could be important. Then for me, it's very, very important, these unknowns. And I am working with some people here in the audience, and they send samples, and I keep saying, found nothing. It's okay, keep sending it. Because if you see you work with the trees, you know when something is not right. Then if we detect something early, we are able to do something about it. Then for me, my message, I don't leave it till the end, I can tell you now. If you see something that you are worried about, just report it. We also do annual surveys in tree collections in the country because we want to know, tree collections are a wonderful place to find new pests and diseases. If something is coming to the country, they will be in the tree collections. And then this is very important, and it's really, really useful. We work very close together with them because this is important for us. We also have different projects to raise awareness, and we have a stand here. We work with Observatory. You all know probably about Observatory. I talked about Observatory before at this conference. It's a citizen science project where we target 21 priority pests and diseases. And we work with volunteers all over the country. But we also work with other projects like Ponte. Ponte is pest organisms threatening Europe. And this project is also working with pathogens like Phytophthora, Challara, Xylella, and other pathogens. And the last one to come on board is Bridget. And we have, as I said, we have a stand outside. And this is, we are trying to work, I would say preventing. It's just, I think I'm very optimistic. Okay. We don't have Xylella, and we don't want to have Xylella. Xylella is going to come eventually, maybe. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's going to come with plant material, imported plant material. That's okay, we know that, but what we know at the moment in the country is that we have the vector, and the vector is native in the country. And there's nothing wrong with the vector, it's a good guy. I don't want you to go and kill it, it's a good guy, but it's all over the country. What we need to know, and we are trying to do through this project, is to find out where the vector is and on which plants is feeding. Why? Because if Xylella comes, the vector is the froghopper, or the spittlebug, what we call the cuckoo spit. Then what we are trying to do through this project is to find out where the vector is and on which plants is feeding. Because if Xylella comes, we know where it's going to go. Then it's trying to be ahead of the game if you can be ahead of the game. But anyway, it's just to show that we are involved also in some projects. Then how people contact us? Actually, in many different ways. We have TreeAlert, you see, is probably our larger number of inquiries come through TreeAlert. Email, letter, non-listed. These are probably people who contact colleagues and that they send it to us. We do site visits, telephone, visitors, others. Visitors, they may turn up to the station with and they bring the tree at the back of the car. And they call you from reception and say, just come down. You have a sample waiting. You may think that our samples are all trees. It's not always the case. Recently, they called me to reception, and I come down, and I see a chair. And I said, a wooden chair. And I said, yes, where is my tree? And they said, no, this is the sample. It's a chair. And I said, what is wrong with the chair? Of course. And they said this chair was in a house, in a dining room, and the lady of the house could hear noises inside the chair. And the family thought she's going crazy. Then they thought she's going mad. But eventually, other members of the family started to hear noises inside the chair. Then what they did is to bag it and bring it to us to find out what was inside. Obviously, we did find a pest that was, obviously, the larvae was trying to come out of the wood. Then our samples, they can vary, as I said, they can be trees, but sometimes they are not always trees. Then TreeAlert, as I said, is our main way how inquiries come in. Why we use TreeAlert? TreeAlert was created initially when we had the outbreak of cholera on ash, and soon after was redeveloped for all the trees and all pests and diseases. What we wanted is to see if we could have all inquiries coming through one system, and also to give a tool to everybody in the country that if you see something, you are able to report it. Then this is what TreeAlert was created. If you are going to use TreeAlert, I would recommend that you create your username, and every time you come, you don't have to log in with you don't have to fill in the details over and over. If you see something out there that you want to report, you should use the first box, and you just will take you through different pages. And I know you are all professionals, and when you come to do this, you feel bored because you have to go through so many screens, and you know the stuff, but this tool is out there for everybody. And you have to cover from you that you are professionals to some people that may not be so familiar with trees, and you need to be kind of taking them by hand. And is it a pointed tree or is it a round tree? And it's as simple as that. For you, it's not a question, but for some people, they don't know because they don't work with trees. Then if you want to report any pest or diseases, come to the first box. If you want to, you know what you are looking at. We have 6 or 5 specific reporting lines. One is for cholera, one is for Dothystroma. Sorry. One is for acute oak decline, Phytophthora lateralis, or the longhorn beetles. The system has an intelligence that if you come to one of these reporting lines and you are not on the right host, they will kind of kick you. You won't notice that, but the system does. It's clever. And we have a third box here, and this is for consultants, people who they want to send a sample and they want to pay for the service. This is some people, they said, oh, I know it's Phytophthora, but I want you to tell me which one it is. I said, okay, then you have to pay for that. You know, if somebody wants to know more about it, or some people, they said, no, I want you to come and do a site visit. And I said, you know, if you send me some photographs, maybe I can diagnose the problem. No, I want you to come. Then this is for this option is here. Just to give you an idea from where we received the TreeAlert, this is just from 2017, and you can see that they are quite all over the country. That is quite good. Then what happened to the TreeAlert reports? When you send a TreeAlert report, what happened to that? Is their triage. They have to. And normally the inquiries are allocated to entomologists and pathologists. And we give priority if we suspect it's a quarantine or regulated pest. And we do try to reply to every single inquiry that we receive. But you know, some of them they will be answered quicker than others, depending on their priority. We are linked to, as I said, to the authorities. Then, for example, if you report a problem that is a quarantine problem, and we see with the information you have provided is definitely of highly suspected quarantine pathogen or pest, then it's communicated to the authorities, and they will be in touch with you and will come and collect a sample, and it will be tested in the lab. This is free of charge, obviously. In some cases, we have to request samples, and as I said, sometimes we need to request, we need to do site visits. Then, is it the nature of our work is seasonal? Each year depends of the weather conditions, new detections or press releases related to tree health. For example, last year and this year, we had press releases about toxic caterpillars, and that was it. As soon as we had press release about toxic caterpillars, our inquiries went up immediately. And we have some people in our organization, some researchers who are looking into this, how it is influenced by the media. But it's always a pattern, and the pattern is obviously, we follow the trees. Especially, you know, we have a very busy summers, and then it never ends. We are always busy, even during the winter. But this is, you can see the pattern. The reports that we have received over these 6 years include 93 genera. 12 of those are broadleaf, and 9 are conifers. A good spread, but I put them, I think, in alphabetical order, no in importance. But what are the top 10? I always like to have the top 10. It's just to give some importance to some of these hosts. Probably you guessed. The first one has been, in the last few years, what has been the main disease? Then you know the main host reported has been Fraxinus, ash. The second one has been oak. The third one, cedar, pine, sweet chestnut, spruce, horse chestnut, beech, plane, and fir. These are the top 10. And what I'm going to do is to go through the main diseases we found on these top 10 hosts. The main pathogens, I'm going just to give you a flavor of the main pathogens in general. Obviously, Cholera has been the main pathogen detected over these last few years. But Phytophthora is our second. And we have, in the last 6 years, I think we had 21 different Phytophthora species that we have detected. You may be surprised to find this disease here, Pseudococcus, but I will come later to that and why. Neonectria canker, probably you are surprised to see this one as well. But this, I think, especially this one, I think is due to environmental conditions. It's been very good years for Neonectria. It's not a new problem, it's just we have really good conditions for it. And honey fungus. You cannot have a list with no honey fungus in it. In my old times, used to be #1. Honey fungus will be the main problem that we'll find, and we keep finding it, but it's not #1 anymore. I'm going to give you I'm not an entomologist, I'm a pathologist, I'm a mycologist, but I'm going to mention a few pests, then I will keep the entomologists happy as well. Our main pests, OPM, O. processionary moth, horse chestnut leaf miner, gypsy moth, brown-tailed moth, and buff-tip moth. And if you came to the site visit yesterday, who came? You remember we were standing in front of this oak, and suddenly we all looked like, we could see these caterpillars eating the leaves. And the first thing, obviously, that comes to mind is this OPM. It's not, just to let you know, for all of those who were watching yesterday, this caterpillar on the tree, on the site visit, is buff-tip moth. Just to be relaxed. I see some faces here quite relieved. And then let's go. Then I'm going to show you all these depressing pictures of pests and diseases. But I want to keep you happy. Come on, this is we have to go through. Ash. We said on ash, we know what we're going to find on ash. The main disease, Cholera ash dieback. And I just wanted to show the maps. I like maps. You can see from 2012 the lighter color, getting 2013, 2014. This is the squares where the disease was encountered or detected. This we go to 2016. You can see it's getting there. 2018, we are getting more squares. I have to tell you, we have people just going to these squares just to put some color in it. And this is true, and we have people determined to find color in every single square. Just to give you an idea, these are the Clara samples we tested last year in our lab. Still quite high number of samples coming. We need to test samples if they come from new squares or new areas. And this is what we do. You all know Clara. I think you are, at least the British people, I'm sure that they all know about it. Hymenoscyphus fraxineus produces the fruit bodies on the rachises of the leaves of the previous year that they are on the ground. These are the fruit bodies. These produce the ascospores, the spores that they infect the leaves. And this is the first symptom that normally people don't see, because if the leaves are higher up, you may miss this part of the disease. Eventually, the fungus will colonize the leaf, will kill the shoots, will go into the stem, and you see the diamond-shaped lesions. You can see different pictures here. These diamond-shaped lesions, they may coalesce together, and you can have them all running on the stem. And probably this is what you are starting to see now, that is the basal lesions. Maybe most of you haven't seen this yet, but this is, with time, normally you will see this as well. This is on the same tree, and you can see this was in 2014, and you can see how much has grown in 2 years. What happens when you have these trees where they have also the root system affected? Sometimes they are also colonized by armillaria, and that caused the tree to fail by the roots. But this is on Fraxinus excelsa. Then what happened to the other ash? Do we have information about it? Then we do surveys in tree collections. That's our job. And what we found is that last year we found on all these different, actually on Americana, maybe even before last year, all these different species, we found leaf spots. What is the importance of this? We don't know yet, because what I need to know is it going to go into the stem or not? Because if the leaves of these trees, they fall early, the fungus won't make it to the stem. Therefore, the tree won't suffer. It will only affect the leaves, leaves drop, end of story. Then what we are doing this year is the follow-up. I can say already we have 2 different species that they do, the shoots are dying. But we have to do, the assessment is going to be done tomorrow actually, is the second assessment, and we'll see if over this season the disease has gone into the shoots or is only a leaf spot. And we thought, okay, this is okay with Clara. No, but we have more news about Clara. We found it on different hosts. And this is the first time that this has been detected in the world, and we detect it here. Isn't that great? The good news about this is the hosts where we found it, they are not common hosts in this country, but they are from the same family as ash. Then we found it on Filarea angustifolia, Filarea latifolia, and Chionanthus virginicus. They all belong to the same family as ash and the same subtribe. There are other members on this Oleaceae family that they have been tested previously, and they did find they were not susceptible, but definitely we found it on these ones. And I'm going to show you the symptoms. On Filarea latifolia, this was reported through TreeAlert. They sent pictures of these symptoms and that. When I saw, as a pathologist, when I saw this, I thought this is a Botrytis, it's nothing to worry about. Me, a pathologist, more than 25 years experience. Nothing to worry about. Let's do we do the isolations, and it's Clara. And we thought it's a mistake, must be a contamination. This cannot be true. Then we went to the site, collected new samples, we tested it. Yes, of course it is Hymenoscyphus fraxineus. It's causing dieback, it's causing even the same internal lesions as it does on ash. Then we started a survey of all the Oleaceae families in the tree collections. How extended is this problem? Then we found it on Filaria angustifolia and Chionanthus virginicus. You can see the dieback is similar. Again, what is the importance of this? I don't know, because I need to find out, is it cycling? Is the fungus completing its cycle within this host? Or are these just accidental cases? Because around these bushes, that actually they're quite expensive, each tree I think this was 300 pounds or something like that. Around these bushes is a beautiful hill with ash dying with Hymenoscyphus. Then obviously the inoculum pressure of this host is quite high. Then I think they're just accidental contaminations. We are now checking to make sure that the fungus is not cycling on the fallen litter as it does on ash. As I said, these hosts, they are not typical here. They are Mediterranean hosts, except Chionanthus virginicus, that is native to North America. And as I said, this is the first report on worldwide. Then I move from Hymenoscyphus and I go to oak, our second host, and the main pest reported was OPM. And you are aware of this. And, but we also found other pests and diseases, armillaria, Phytophthora, obviously powdery mildew, acute oak decline. And of course, because of OPM, we have all the moths that people are finding and confusing with OPM. Then people are reporting every single moth they find. That is good because at least we know if it is OPM or not. And this is very important to us. And obviously galls. And we go to the third one. The third one is Sida. And why is Sida suddenly in the top 10? Because it never used to be in the top 10. But it's because Pseudococcus blight. And Pseudococcus blight caused by this fungus, Pseudococcus sugi. And if you know about Pseudococcus, there are different species of Pseudococcus. When we detected this species, this was the first detection in Europe. Because this fungus was only detected in America. And then this was my first, I just arrived, actually, to Alice Holt, and this was my first pathogen. And I remember doing the identification and thinking, oh my goodness, it's not in Europe. And we have it. Immediately, Germany also reported it, and, but this is what it does to the Sidas, especially to Atlas Sida. The blue Sida are badly affected, and you can see it turns pink. And I did check in the ARP forums on internet, because I thought it's got pink needles. I mean, I'm sure somebody have seen this before. Then I did go back and I saw some conversations talking about pink needles on Sidas back to 2012. Then this is what it does to the Sida, but it can cause cankers, it can kill the bark. Normally you can see on the needles, on the little spot coming down, spreading and girdling the branches and killing the trees. These are the kind of cankers you may see. Sometimes they are not easy to find. These black dots there are the fruit bodies, and this is the lesions under the bark, and eventually the tree will die. If you go to the literature in America, it's just a shoot blight. And now is when they are starting to see that they are having a bigger issue, especially on hemlock. That for us, we have detected on hemlock, but it's not causing that much damage. It's just, especially on the regeneration, you have the tip dieback, but it's not killing the trees. It seems to be affecting really badly Sidas. And we go to number 4, pine. Oh my goodness, and I have to finish. Then, but okay, 3 minutes. Then Dothystroma, you know this one, a shoot blight caused by Diplodia sapinea, Phytophthora cinnamomi on pine. And the main ones are Armillaria and Heterobasidium. These are the main problems we are finding on pine. Always check the roots of the trees if you see them dying. On sweet chestnut, we have new detection of oriental chestnut gold wasp, we detected in 2015. A canker caused by this fungus, Pneumoniopsis smithogilbii, that is this kind of canker, is not killing the trees, but it can cause some damage. And of course, the main one that we detected in these last few years was detecting chestnut blight in the wider environment. These are the symptoms. You have the cankers, you have the orange sporulation, the picormic growth, and if you look under the bark, you will see the mycelial fans of Cryphonectria. Just wanted to show we did the eradication. This is one case, eradicated, another case, eradicated, and a more sad case, eradicated. Then this is what we are involved in these jobs as well. Then spruce, we have Neonectria foucaultiana, that is bleeding lesions, and this is the fruit bodies of the fungus. But also we get Dendroctonus micans, the great spruce bark beetle, and this year has been really bad, Elatobium, the green spruce aphid. Host chestnut leaf miner, I think we are all very familiar with this one. Which you can mention, we have Phytophthora, a collection of Phytophtheras. In this case, this is Phytophthora pseudosyringae, all these bleeding lesions, but you have a collection of different fungi. Plane tree, you have the common problems on plane, anthracnose, and powdery mildew. Then you have obviously Massaria, but you have all the decay, Perenniporia, Fomitiporia, Cresmaria. And you can carry on here. I think you find everything on a plane. And these are at least I can mention these ones. These are the new ones we have detected, and we don't know what they are doing. These are 4 pathogens, especially on crops, and we are finding it on plane trees in this country. And what are they doing? We don't know. But we see this kind of cankers and lesions, and we know in other countries they have described these pathogens as a problem for plane trees, and they have it in Switzerland and also in China. For example, this Neophysicoccum parvum, and this is the kind of lesions you may see on the plane trees. And at the moment, we are investigating this in the lab. We are inoculating some trees to see which one is causing the damage, because we are not sure, and we can be certain. And we are collecting, we have some of people in the audience here collecting samples for us, even sometimes a core. If you are working in a tree and you can take a core from the tree, if you see something that it worries you, we can try to diagnose the problem from these cores, send it to us, and we will examine them. And the last one is fur, that is Neonectria, another canker, another new problem. Actually, it's an old problem, but it's emerging again. You have the dying bark, cankers, resin, the fruit bodies, that they are the red fruit bodies. Trees, they look quite die back in a lot of different places. They don't look nice. People remove the trees, or the tree dies. And you may think, oh, this is just ornamentals. This is an aerial photograph of Neonectria neomacrospora on fir. It's not larch and Phytophthora ramorum. Probably most people thought, oh, that's larch and Phytophthora ramorum. No, it's not. That's Neonectria on fir. Then that is what happened. Then if you go back to this, something simple that we may detect in a single tree in a garden, it can end up like this. And just to finish, this is the list of what we found recently in the last few years. Some that I have not mentioned, and I think I leave it here because I have more, but I don't want to depress you more. I leave you here. Yeah, because